I'd like to introduce the concept of well-being in a sheep in the sense that it's not to do with health, it's to do with everything. So it's not just health, it's not just feeding sheep, it's not just grazing management, it includes, you know, how you walk them, how you transport them. You're trying to ensure adequate well-being of a sheep. And I guess when you start talking about the well-being of sheep, the paradigm has shifted a little bit now, where I guess letting sheep starve to death is not an option anymore. And the other side of it, which when you're talking about the well-being of sheep, is if sheep become so weak, or some individual sheep become so weak, in theory you should dispose of them as soon as you notice they're weak. You just can't leave them to die anymore. And the other part is that if a portion of your mob is becoming weak, you should really segregate them and treat them separately to the other half of the mob. And the third part is the last part is transporting sheep. So when you transport sheep, there are rules, I guess, and of all the places you may get pinged if you have very weak sheep will be when you transport sheep. So we've got sheep had a tough time. They may or may not be in good condition. So what I'd like to think about, what improves the survivability of a sheep while grazing dry pastures? And this is one answer: fat. And the tools are in your hand to determine how much fat a sheep will have. And the tools are when to start feeding and when to finish feeding. So if you start too late, you get skinny sheep. If you finish too early and you have sheep in poor condition, environmental conditions at the other end of the season may affect the survivability of the animal. The other way animals die is just rapid depletion within a 4-week period of the fat reserves, fat and then muscle reserves, and that's simply not providing enough energy to meet their needs. But it's also complicated on how you introduce the feed to them, how you swap the feed to them may also precipitate these weight losses. So it's a little bit more complicated than just providing enough energy. So in the end, you may or may not have some problems with your sheep in the dry season. I just wanted to show what I mean by sheep that are most at risk, the least survival. Now, survival's a funny thing. It's not guaranteed that you can feed sheep in condition score 1.5 and you may have 100% survival. But other times, just change the circumstances very slightly, your survival rate may go to 80% there. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the break-even point. We're really saying we want sheep above that condition score.